Welcome to day 2 of the Big Fire Week.
Yep, day 2, and what another cracking episode there, Dave.
Do you know what? I didn't expect them to bring out a bag. They just did another cracking episode tonight.
Well, I think we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but I think the problem that we've got, Dave, is that we've been told to cut down our review section quite considerably.
Yeah.
Mainly by ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I think the main thing that we've got to have to talk about is Buffetgate.
Yes. This was quite a big issue tonight.
Yeah. The quality of Stephen Michelle's buffet. Now, bear in mind, Stephen and Michelle weren't even at the reception.
Yeah, I think maybe we should explain the storyline first and then go back onto the buffet.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the buffet was just on the forefront of my mind.
I know, the buffet was quite a big one tonight.
Yeah.
So, do you want to briefly explain?
Well, basically what happened was Liz and Tony were getting ready to go to Spain. But in the end, they ended up not going because Tony cheated on Liz with Tracy in a long-standing affair. We've known about this for quite a while, though. And then from there, Liz decides to give her tickets to Spain to Michelle and Steve for their birthday. Not for their birthday, for their anniversary.
Their
wedding day, but it's technically their anniversary.
Their honeymoon, I think it was.
Well, who cares?
So, that was kind of the big storyline throughout the night, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big one, but I think we're forgetting the starting of the fire.
The starting of the fire, which was the end of the episode.
Yep, that's that. But we'll talk about that during Best Burn.
During Best Burn, we'll discuss the fire aspect. And then also we had Baby Jack.
Baby Jack, yeah, getting taken to Hull.
Well, he hasn't been taken yet, and I think this
which
is part
I have
of it.
been informed is somewhere north. I don't really know. Let me check.
So basically, the child. Kev is currently in the Rovers, and Jack is at Vera's. Yep. So we now know that
Vera's dead.
Oh, who was it? Rita.
Rita's.
So we know that the baby's there. So it's whether Kevin's new girlfriend is able to get the baby or whether Rita will let them. Yeah. So that's going to be quite an interesting one to see how it plays out.
Also, a guy whose name we don't know from family that we're not 100% sure about proposed to Leanne.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. He didn't technically propose. Now, Leanne's got the impression he's proposed, but it didn't, there was no yes or no. And I feel that this is going to be quite key to the storyline because a lot can change, John. A lot can change. Now,
bearing in mind the family dynamics from yesterday, I think this could be a very difficult storyline indeed for the
unknown family.
The unknown family and the last remaining Battersby.
The last remaining Battersby, that is correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that a lot can change, and I don't think we're going to, we could see they're going to get engaged, married.
I think you're right there, Dave.
But towards the end of the week, we could be saying something different.
But anyway, to go back to Buffetgate, poor quality buffet.
Poor quality buffet, yeah.
And I think we'll leave that till later, what I was just about to say.
Yeah, actually, should we do it now?
It's time for the Norris scale.
So, would you mind expediting this process?
It's Norris! Hey, Norris. Okay, so let's get started with today's Norris scale.
Now, Dave, what does the scale say?
The scale is saying...
Ooh.
70%.
Now, some people might think we're a bit crazy here. For giving Norris such a high scale, but hear us out. First part...
It was pretty much driven by Norris.
Now.
The first 15 minutes was driven by Norris, and he was superb, John.
I think we're talking classic Norris here.
Classic Norris, line after line, brilliant.
Yep,
brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
It'd be interesting to see whether he writes the lines himself.
I think at this point you've got to give an actor like Norris's actor the creative freedom
Malcolm
to do what he wants.
And I think Norris was superb tonight. There were some cracking lines by Norris.
Spot
on. Lines about the buffet. Constant lines about the buffet, actually.
Norris was driving those questions, interrogating, that's the sort of thing you want from a character like Norris.
And it was superb, and he really played his part. Now, I was disappointed, and I think he would have scored higher tonight had he have appeared more in the second half. I felt that
There was no Norris second half.
There was the odd line when they were in the Rovers, but I did not get that same standard of Norris, which was a shame because it could have been a key Norris
I think
episode
we also have
there.
to point out here, and this is just a general observation, but it does directly link into the Norris scale. Not enough random cast members at the wedding this evening. We had Maria there.
Yeah.
Lloyd, I mean, I'm sorry, you'd expect him to be back by now. It's not that difficult to get back from Norway.
Honestly, I thought Lloyd would have been back by now, and I'm still thinking he could be back before the end of the week. He could be back by.
I don't think you can have Fire Week without Lloyd. He drops those.
I think maybe, you might see him rock up in a taxi or something from the airport. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
I can predict it now. He's going to be back. I'll be surprised if he doesn't come back.
Yep.
I'll be really surprised if he doesn't come back. But yeah, leading on to what you're saying, not enough people at the wedding, and it broke all the rules that Corrie does at weddings.
Yeah.
No Norris.
No Norris.
None of the elderly crew. I did see Ken, but he's always there.
Was Ken even at the wedding?
I think I did see Ken in the background. I'm not too sure.
I mean,
I'll be surprised if Ken wasn't there. That's what I'm saying, John.
Okay.
I'll be surprised. I think I saw him.
Random inclusion of Maria. Now, Maria doesn't seem to be close to either Steve or Michelle, so what she was doing there, I'm not 100% sure.
I personally believe Maria's always there, always at any event, and I think it's down to her being a hairdresser.
Why is Audrey not there?
Here's the thing. Audrey, great, but I feel that maybe Maria, because it was Michelle's wedding, Michelle might have wanted a younger hairdresser, a bit more stylish, and Audrey's not there anymore. She's not at her peak, and I think Maria is now at her peak, so that's all I'm saying.
We'll never get to see the peak that Maxine Peacock could have hit.
No, but that's a story for another time.
But that ties in with the next stage. Best burn!
Oh, it was a great deal!
Now, tonight, we have to really consider what we mean by burn, because there was a lot of both.
Right, well, you say that, John, but again, disappointed by the amount of fire. We're going to see loads more over the next few episodes.
Just a candle.
It was just a candle, but we did see the candle get lit, and then it was put out, and then, when Tracy returned to the apartment towards the end of the episode, she relit the candle. And to be honest, we saw the candle last night, and I didn't think anything of it. I did not. I saw Steve get given the 2 candles, the 3 candles, was it? Didn't think anything of it. And that's kind of now gone to me. Like, why didn't I see that? Why did I not see that?
I think it's one of those things. So looking back, we'll have a lot of these moments this week, Dave. Yeah. I think we'll feel. I mean, there's been a lot of references to fire already in the script itself, and I think
the writers have done a great job. I wouldn't
say
job.
that, but
I think they personally have, the way they've dealt with this whole week with the subtle little things like those candles.
That's subtle.
Well, you say that, but I did not spot them.
Okay, well, that there was a bit of fire, but I think we've got to talk about the burns within the insults here.
Yeah.
Insult after insult after insult.
And there were some classic ones.
Well, Norris getting insulted by saying no hair. I mean, that's a low blow for Norris. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Much better you can say.
We saw a few other little comments throughout from all members of staff. Staff?
Yeah. Staff. All cast members. Hey, Dave. You.
All characters, I think I meant to say. All characters.
Characters, yep. We also had Mary getting insulted with the whole, you'd have given up by now, by Norris.
And again,
classic Norris line.
That was classic Norris, and that was what I was saying earlier. Key Norris lines, and they were brilliant. Yeah. Absolute brilliant tonight.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Norris on fine form, and Tracy just insulting Liz about Tony. Now that's to be expected by now. She's going to hit those low blows. Yeah. Not really that fair actually, because Liz, doesn't deserve it.
I remember that line. It was the line where they were like when Liz was outside the Rovers' return and Tracy was just there. Yeah, there was some lines, a bit of conflict going on, and. To be honest, by now, I think we've seen all we're going to see with Liz and Tracy. I think now it's going to be moved on to the fire.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to kind of put that to
so
one side.
So what would you say was the
fire
best?
Week.
What would you say was the best burn, Dave?
I'm a big fan of the fire. I think this is really...
You like it when there's actual fire, don't you?
I think it's going to shake up the street and it's going to change it for a very long time. A bit like the tram crash of 2010.
It's a shame we're never going to talk about the repercussions of this.
It really is, but at the same time, it's great to actually see what's happening now as well.
I mean, it's brilliant. It's
so
the
personal best burn for me when the lampshade set fire.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think it's when Mary got insulted by Norris. You know me, I love a classic Norris insult. Right, so where does that take us to, Dave?
I think that takes us to Richard Kilman.
You should have stayed at the party, Maxine.
Yeah. Okay, so Richard Kilman, Dave. Who would you have killed this episode?
I would personally like to have seen Richard Kilman. It's a tough one. I personally would have said that maybe Michelle's dad. I found that maybe the comedy written for him didn't quite work in some aspects.
It needed Norris to save it, and that he did.
He did, and I'm glad he did, because otherwise it would have fell flat on its face. And Norris was luckily there. He managed to, do a bit of his magic and brought it back together. But Michelle's dad tonight, nothing against the actor, just the writing for him, the character itself. It just needs development, needs a bit of changing.
Now, you know me, Dave, I like a controversial death. And tonight I would have killed Sophie Webster.
Sophie Webster, interesting. Can I ask why you'd do that?
Well, Sophie Webster, Dave, I'm finding her relationship with that other girl quite rubbish. I don't think there's much substance to it.
Yeah, we were discussing this. We thought that there was the lack of energy for that storyline.
I mean, it's as lacking in energy as me during this. I think it's got no legs. They're moving in together. Where do we go after that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do feel this moving in storyline again lacking energy. It just needs something there. There's obviously something they've got planned for that storyline, because otherwise it'd be quite a dull storyline. Yeah. So it'd be interesting again to see how that plays out.
I would have killed Sophie tonight, and if I had the choice, her girlfriend.
So you'd probably kill them both in a Richard Hillman.
Well, he tried to burn down Audrey's house, didn't he? So it'll be a Kilman fire.
Now that's an episode I'd like to see. Anyway, this now brings us on to
Gale or Jail.
No, Gale in jail.
That's Gale or Jail. Did you choose between Gale or Jail?
Oh yeah.
Gale or Jail.
Can you live with that for the rest of your life?
It's time for the wheel.
I know. I've brought it back after another successful spin.
Oh, right. Okay. So who's it landing on today, Dave?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Oh, wow.
I didn't expect it to be them.
No, neither did I.
So, today we've chosen Tracy.
Now, Now, the wheel's been a bit upsetting here because it's brought Tracy in what I would consider too early. But we've got to go with what the wheel says.
We've got to go for what the wheel says, and we think Tracy, especially tonight's episode, would she rather spend a day in jail or a day with Gale?
Now, if Tracy were in jail, she wouldn't be able to burn down Carla's flat. Now, this leads on to something that we're going to talk about in Fred or Alive, but I think she's going to regret burning down that flat, Dave.
I think she is, but then I'm going to say, if she spends a day with Gale, a bit like yesterday, sort out her problems, Gale's good at helping her hand.
I do think you give Gale too much credit in helping people out.
I think that Gale would be able to offer the help that Tracy needs.
Yeah.
And potentially, we just discussed the causes that this fire is going to, have on the street. If she just spent some time with Gale, the fire wouldn't happen. All these other sub-storylines.
But you've got to bear in mind, Dave, she probably wouldn't discuss the fire with Gale. Tracy's not that kind of person. Also, there's a lot of tension there probably because she worked closely with Todd, and I think Gale still hates Todd for what he did to Sarah. So I think we've got to really kind of think about it. I think she'd have been better off with Gale, but only because I think this fire is going to do so much to shake up the street that I want this fire to happen. What do you think?
I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, but then we have got to take into account she's been to jail before, she's spent some time there. it's not really going to make a difference if she spends a day there.
Out and then. Okay, so that was a very interesting discussion that went on too long. We used the fade out to manage to get around that.
Yeah, we did. So,
I think it's time for our final feature, or second to last feature, penultimate.
yeah. Oh.
Fred or Alive.
You haven't lived, I say you haven't lived till you've had one of my fillet steaks, medium rare, in a clear batter roll.
I think there's a real lack of butchers around these days, Dave.
You know, it's funny that I would have thought that when Ashley died in the Great Tram Crash of 2010, we would have seen a new butcher on the street, but nothing. No mention.
But that's a discussion for another series that will never exist.
It really is.
So, Fred or Alive? Who do we think is going to die? Now, this one tonight, I think, was pretty self-explanatory.
I think we're both on the same path on this one. We've discussed it beforehand.
Yeah. Well, let's dismiss the main one first. Carla ain't going to die, guys.
She is not going to die. They wouldn't kill off a character that strong. We can see storylines coming off her already. They're not going to kill her off.
No.
But we also know that she's sharing the apartment at the moment with Amy.
Now, Amy, prime candidate. Steve's not around.
Yeah.
So that makes her really likely to be killed.
And it would be a big shock on the street. Little old Amy.
Tracy killing Amy.
Yeah.
But is that too much trauma for the Barlows, do we think? Actually doesn't matter.
I feel that maybe this would do... Look, I wouldn't like to see Amy die.
No.
But the drama on the street, it would cause quite a lot, and it could be very effective if they killed Amy off.
I agree.
I'm not supporting it. I'm not going kill Amy off.
Well, you would be supporting child murder there, Dave, which isn't a good thing.
But if they did it, the effects that it would have would be huge, and it would make good TV. You've got to admit, guys, it would make good TV.
I've got to agree there, Dave, and I feel like that does it for Fred or Alive. Pretty self-explanatory this time. So, I think it's time, Dave. Cobbles.
Let's talk cobbles, John. This episode, I yesterday said a 2.
I know. You're coming out today with a...
I'm going to actually say a 4.
A 4?
I felt that it was very good. The amount of Norris and the amount of humour.
Yeah.
Very effective. Maybe a few places like Steve blowing his nose in one scene. It was trying to be funny and it wasn't, but that aside, lots of humour, great plot development. We can see now where it's all going. It's all starting to come together. It was a great episode. Yeah. It made up for last night, which I wasn't really a fan of.
I know you weren't, but you agreed on a 3 in the end. Now, tonight I would go 3.5. And I'm only saying it's going to be a 4 because it'll be easier for you to make on the Movie Maker.
Yeah.
So I'm going to round it to a 4.
Okay, well, I think we've got to both agree it was a great episode.
It was a great episode. We had some Norris.
Yeah.
We had some interesting interactions between cast members. We had a proposal. We had Steve and Michelle getting a bit of happiness.
I don't think it was a proposal.
Let's go
I still think a lot can happen. A lot can happen.
They're going to drag out that storyline for a week, so let's just go with that. We had all these little interesting tidbits. We had the Bruce Willis bit. That part was hilarious.
Again, humour throughout.
Yeah, humour.
And that's why we're going to give it
a 4. Now, tune in tomorrow when me and Dave do the exact same thing again.
But hopefully the plot develops quite a bit by then.
Yeah.
So we're not repeating ourselves.
Also, thank you for watching this. We realised that it's a lot longer than we initially thought it would be.
Yeah.
And a lot more painful than we thought it would be.
Yeah, it's been a lot of hard work, but we appreciate all the feedback you guys are giving. And
don't like us on Facebook because I only did that for one day.
Yeah.
And I'm now deleting the page because it's really quite weird that I made that. And also the pictures are really quite disturbing.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums it up for episode 2. Now tune in tomorrow.
Tomorrow, where we do the same thing again. And that was just the same thing that we just did. Discussing it was going to be the same thing again.
That's what we do best. So, see you guys.
See ya.